Hi, welcome to South Build TV. My name is Ryan. I look to demystify the South Build process. In this episode, we're going to be speaking to Harvey, who heads up the National South Build and Renovation Centre located in Swindon. So if that might be of interest to you, please check out this episode.
Welcome to Self Build TV. We look to demystify the self-build process so you can learn to build your dream home without risk and stress that other self-builders face. Now back to Ryan.
Hi, welcome back. As I said in the introduction, we're going to be speaking to Harvey, who heads up the South Build and Renovation Centre in Swindon. We're going to go through a little bit about what you can expect from the centre and what you can get out of it. So, Harvey, could you give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself and the centre, please?
Yeah, hi, thank you. So my name's Harvey Fremlin. I'm the MD and employee owner at the National South Build and Renovation Centre. The centre's been open since 2007, so we're in our 15th year now. And we are unique as the UK's only permanent visitor centre for people who are doing home building projects. The building is 67,000 square feet, so it's a huge resource, and we're based on junction 16 of the M4, so just outside Swindon.
Yeah, thank you, Harvey, for that. I always recommend South Builders to come to the centre twice at least, because on a show day, not on a show day, you get to go around at your own pace, and then when it is a show day, you can ask the questions you want to ask, and that's always very valuable for anyone who actually does come. So that moves nicely on to the other things you actually offer, and one of the key things is your courses. Could you talk a little bit about what courses you have available and how someone actually can go along and book it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. So we've got 6 courses that we've developed at the centre, working with experts that are there to help people doing different types of projects. So the one that we've run for the longest period of time is the 3-day self-build course, the NSBRC Guide to Self-Build. So it's a 3-day, fairly intensive course that covers all of the key stages of a self-build project. Most of our visitors, they're not in the trade. Perhaps they haven't been on a building site before, so we try and arm them with as much information as possible so that they can tackle their projects with confidence and engage with their tradespeople, their specialist, whether that's designers, architects, with that degree of understanding, really. So that's our 3-day course. We also run a number of 1-day courses that cover themes such as project management, a dedicated renovation course, one looking at heating your home, which is very popular. People are always looking to install energy efficient products into their homes. We've got one of finding land, which is one of the initial barriers for people, undertaking a project, is finding that perfect plot. And then we've just launched this year one on managing money. So again, being able to keep control of your budget and understand what resources you've got available and at different points is really critical. So that's a half-day course that we launched this year, and that's been really popular. So the best thing to do would be to visit the NSBRC website, and there's actually a courses page on there where you can find out much more information.
Yeah, I mean, like most things, you can never really replace going to a structured course rather than reading it through a blog or a vlog. Going to actually speak to people and who's gone through that sort of process, experts in the field, is very invaluable. I know it's a relatively small amount of money to pay up front, and it helps you along on your sort of self-build, so it is very valuable. That now moves me on to, say, question 4, and this is sort of question where I ask, is there anything that the centre is not aimed at? Is there anyone who's not really not suitable, but you probably won't get the best out of it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I think what we would normally say is we are here for people that are doing a substantial home building project. So at one end of that, as I said, it could be someone that's looking to buy a plot of land, design and build their own home. It could be that they're taking on an existing building and converting it, so barn conversions, for example. But I think we've got something for anyone that's doing a significant project. So I guess the kind of smaller scale end of that would be improving and extending your existing home. So if you're doing an extension or a loft conversion, for example, or something that's quite popular at the moment is trying to make room or change the layout of a home for a home office, we've got, we would be very happy to help people doing that kind of project.
Yeah, I think the only thing what this place probably doesn't do is like the sort of DIY sort of if you wanted to put a shelf up. But apart from that,
Yeah.
it goes from quite a big broad spectrum. I think that's what's quite useful. And I think one of the key things we didn't really actually touch on it earlier on, is that the stands here are set up here all year round. But what's different to most other shows is that the stands also show the sort of life cycle of the building, the phases, as well as you actually get to see the construction techniques as well in terms of what actually goes into a wall, because many people just don't think it's just a couple of bricks. It is a lot more into it nowadays, and it's quite very useful to be able to actually see your options before you make that sort of decision.
And there are so many options as
Yeah.
well, and I think that's one of the important reasons to visit the centre, actually, is to really understand that there's some big decisions that you have to make at the beginning of a project, and sometimes that can be quite overwhelming. So it is really helpful to be able to come and see those life-size cross-sections of different building systems, different superstructure systems, for example, and understand the difference between perhaps a standard timber frame and a structurally insulated panel, which again is made out of timber, but in very different ways. So we try and cover all of those bases so people can make the best decisions that are suitable for their projects. And then, as you say, there's over 250 exhibitors here at the centre that offer every type of product and service that you could possibly need doing a home building project. But it's good to be able to look at those, having really been able to gain an understanding of how a home is constructed initially.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the key things. I mean, many people start the self build with a bit of with their own intentions, but coming to here, you can see things, kick the tires, so to speak, see what's here, what's not working, and speak to people, which is a great sort of, pretty much asset, and also it's pretty much free to come to. So if someone is interested in coming for the day, for the show, for the courses, what sort of things would they need to do beforehand? Where they need to book, or what do they need to do before they come to the show to maximise their sort of days out?
Yeah, and it's a huge building. It's 67,000 square feet, so it is a big building. There's an awful lot to see, and what we find is, on average, people spend about half a day here, about 3.5 hours. And in fact, when we've got our shows or some of our larger scale events, they spend a couple of days here sometimes. So I think, just make sure you allow yourself enough time for your visit is important. And there's always something going on in the calendar, so it depends whether you want to come when there's an event or a workshop on, or actually you prefer to come where it might be a bit quieter and you can just, have a relaxed visit and in your own time. But for all of those things, the best thing is to check out our website, which is always updated. So that's nsbrc.co.uk, and you can find the latest calendar of events, things that are coming up in the next couple of months, and book via the website.
Excellent. Thanks, Harvey, for your 5 questions. Now we move on to your sort of top 3 tips for self-builders. Sorry for springing this on you a little bit,
It's okay.
But it can be about the show, or it can be self-building as a whole as well.
Okay, so tip number 1 would be, don't lose sight of why you're doing the project in the first place. And we do see that from time to time, where I mentioned earlier, it can be quite an overwhelming process to go through, and there's an awful lot of research to do. So don't lose sight as to why you're doing the project. It might be that you want to build more space into a property. It might be that you've got a changing, family circumstances, whether that's, you've got a young family, or you've got older people in the family or relatives that have access needs. Whatever that driver is for doing the project, don't get distracted by the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah. And then your tip number 2?
Tip number 2 would be, have a wish list of things that you would like to achieve in the project, but be prepared to compromise. Depending on your budget, you will need to make compromises as you go along the process. So you'll gather an awful lot of information as you're doing your research, but on your wish list, split it into 2. Have your absolute must-haves, your needs, the things that you cannot do without, the reason why you're doing it, and then have your would like to haves as well, really. And I think you obviously have to make sure that you include all the needs in your project, but have a look at some of those on the other side of the column, and think about whether if the budget doesn't stretch to, say, the kitchen that you want initially, perhaps put something in at a lower end of a budget initially, because that's the kind of thing that can always be changed. Whereas the fabric of the building and the insulation, for example, once that's done, that's done. So just be very clear as to what absolute priorities when you're doing a project.
Excellent. And then can we just have your last top tip for South Builders?
Yeah, so tip number 3 would be pay a visit to the NSBRC, surprisingly enough. But
Shameless
it really is, it's a unique resource that is here specifically for individuals who are doing home building projects of various sizes. And it is a wealth of information. The guys that work on the help desk, they are just here to help you with your project. So bring your plans, drawings, or just a list of questions or ideas, and they will be very happy to sit down and chat with you about those and signpost you to some of the educational exhibits that we have here, some of the specialist exhibitors that we have in the building. So yeah, I mean, for many of our case studies, visits to the NSBRC have been absolutely crucial to their success.
Yeah, I mean, one of the key things I sort of reiterate to South Builders, it's kind of a misnomer, the name South in the thing. It takes a team, it takes time, it takes effort, and the key to a successful South Build is asking the right questions at the right time. And I think coming down here will help you get that ball rolling, and allows you to bump into other people who are in that sort of same ballpark as well. So you don't have to do it on yourself. So it's one of the key things. Thanks for your top tips. It's very much appreciated, and thanks for answering your questions. So if someone wanted to know a little bit more about the centre itself, where would be the best place to go?
So visit our website, nsbrc.co.uk. It's got all the information about what's here at the centre, what's coming up over the next few weeks and months, and there's a link there to book free tickets.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. Cheers. I hope you found that episode useful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to send them in, and I'll be more than happy to pass them over to Harvey. I'm sure he'll be happy to help as well. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you click on the link down below and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any up and coming episodes. And again, thank you for taking the time to check out this episode, and I hope to be coming along on your self-build journey. Thank you.
Thank you for checking out Self Build TV. Don't miss out on the Self Build Made Easy Starter Pack, and go to www.selfbuild.tv now to order your free copy to start your self-build journey. You will also get access to a community, exclusive content, and free expert advice. Go to selfbuild.tv now.